last year in week 0 when Vanderbilt hosted Hawaii on national TV and their stadium was still under construction? Well, now we're almost a year past that and the stadium is still under construction. So we took the next best thing, and today we're bringing you our 2024 Vanderbilt football predictions live from Nashville here on the practice field. Take what you can get here at the Gridiron Expert, which we're so glad you could join us today. Look, Vanderbilt, life's tough in the SEC. It's been that way for decades for the Commodores. It's going to get even tougher now with the addition of Oklahoma and Texas. The unfortunate thing is this is one of the best teams that Clark Lee has fielded during his time in Nashville, at his alma mater, I should add, but it might not show improvement in the win total. You look on offense, 7 starters are back, brand new offensive coordinator in Tim Beck. They add the dangerous dual threat quarterback Diego Pavia from New Mexico State, threw for over 4,400 yards and rushed for over 1,400 yards during his time with the Aggies. But they lose their top 3 pass catchers from last year. The whole offensive line does return, but their rushing game was atrocious, only averaged 95 rushing yards per game. So I do think the offense is going to be a bit more explosive, but this is a Vanderbilt team that in their last 57 games has eclipsed 30 points just 11 times. So the offense may improve, but maybe not enough to hang with their SEC counterparts. The defense under Clark Lee, he's an offensive-minded coach. It's been consistent under him, but maybe not consistent in the right way. In 3 years, Vanderbilt's defense under Clark Lee went from 35.8 points per game to 36 points per game to 36.2 points per game last year, increasing by 0.2 points per game each of the last 3 years. They went from 458 yards per game 3 years ago to 461 to last year 455, so arguably their best defense in terms of yardage. 8 starters, though, are back for the Commodores, including their leading tackler in Langston Patterson. They've got to improve their secondary, one that allowed 280 passing yards per game last year. Luckily, they do return the entire back 5. The secondary, C.J. Taylor returns. Colby Taylor is in from Wyoming. This is a better Vanderbilt squad from top to bottom, but can they handle a very difficult schedule? They open up the year here in Nashville against Virginia Tech, a team we are very high on if you've watched our ACC predictions. The Hokies returning all of their starters on offense. They're going to exploit this Vanderbilt defense tremendously here in Nashville. It's going to be pretty rough. The most production returning in all of college football for the Hokies. They're a dangerous team in the ACC, and Vanderbilt, even with home field advantage, maybe in a half-filled home field advantage if their stadium can't be finished, is going to lose to Virginia Tech. Alcorn State, mark it up as a win. The intriguing thing about Vanderbilt is their preseason win total is set at 2.5. They have 3 winnable non-conference games against Alcorn State, Georgia State, and Ball State. If they can just win those 3, they will hit their over. Maybe not a successful year, but they'll hit the over. I do think they beat Alcorn State. I do think they beat Georgia State. Not need to overlook the Panthers, but the Panthers dealing with a new coach. They lose their quarterback. They lose their top 2 rushers. Their quarterback was one of them. They lose 2 of their top 3 wide receivers and 7 of their top tacklers. This is a Georgia State team that's going to go through a bit of a rebuild, especially with the late coaching change. So just like that, Vanderbilt's 2-1. They're above 500. Then they start getting into the bulk of conference play on the road at Missouri. Since Vanderbilt's upset over number 22 Missouri back in 2019, the Commodores have lost the last 4 to the Tigers by an average of 17.5 points per game. That includes a 38-21 loss last year. This Missouri team loses a lot of talent from last year, the one that won the Cotton Bowl, no doubt about it, but the Tigers are still one of the best teams in this conference, and Vanderbilt's simply going to be no match for them, especially in Columbia. Then they get the bye week, and then Alabama's going to come to our house. Remember that famous line from many years ago? Vanderbilt opened up 3-0, and they said, now Bama's got to come here. They're going to see how we play ball. And Vanderbilt shut out Vanderbilt, what was it, like 59-0? Now Bama does come to Vanderbilt, new era under Kalen DeBoer, but the Commodores have lost 23 straight to the Crimson Tide and have lost the last 3 by a combined score of 148-3. They do not stand a chance against Alabama. They lose that game. Then they go on the road to Kentucky. The last time they played at Kentucky, they won by 3, 24-21, their first SEC win under Clark Lee. The Wildcats got their revenge last year, winning 45-28. Now the Wildcats return 18 starters. This is an underrated squad for Mark Stoops, a Kentucky team that's made 8 straight bowl games. They're going to make it 9 this year, and one of those, at least 6 wins, will come against the Commodores. Then they play Ball State. This is it. Can they hit the over? Can they beat Ball State here at home and hit that 3-win mark and cash in some money for you bettors out there? Yes, they will. Ball State, kind of like Georgia State, going through a bit of a rebuilding year, losing a lot of talent. Only 1 starter back on defense for the Cardinals. Vanderbilt's offense, Diego Pavia, has themselves a day at home. They beat Ball State, 3 wins for Vandy. Then the rest of the schedule comes into SEC play and they don't get a break, right? Texas, Auburn, South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee. I hate to tell you, Vanderbilt's not win a single one of those games. Ironically, against Texas, it'll be a great crowd, I hope, welcoming Texas into the SEC. Vanderbilt owns an 8-3 series edge over the Longhorns. Believe that. They've won 8 games over Texas. All of those games, though, before the Great Depression. So how much stock do you really want to put into that? They're going to lose to Texas. They're going to lose to Auburn, who they lost to 31-15 last year. Auburn in year 2 under Hugh Freeze is going to be drastically improved on the offensive side of the ball. They got to play South Carolina, who they've lost 15 straight games to. They've scared the Gamecocks from time to time, never able to get over the hump. I'm not extremely high on South Carolina and Shane Beamer's squad this year, but I am high enough on them to beat Vanderbilt here in Nashville. And in the final 2 games at LSU after the bye week, they have not won at LSU since 1951. The Tigers in Death Valley are tough enough against anybody, let alone against Vanderbilt. And then Tennessee, the in-state rivalry, they've lost 5 straight to the Volunteers by an average of 29 points per game. And this Tennessee offense, with Nico Iamaleava coming back at quarterback, the future of Tennessee football is going to torch this Vanderbilt secondary, even though they get to host the game on Senior Day. With all that being said, guys, I hate to do it. I hate coming on site and predicting bad records for teams. I truly do. But I feel like that's a yearly tradition with the Commodores. Vanderbilt finishing 3-9, winless in conference play. And to me, there's really no toss-up game in conference play. Their most winnable conference game is probably South Carolina at home and maybe Auburn on the road. That's it. Not many options there for Vandy. 3-9, 0-8 in conference play, but they do hit the over on their preseason win total. Over 2.5 wins for Vandy, but another rough year in Nashville, and maybe the end of the Clark Lee era. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube as we continue our on-site predictions. There might be more coming your way. You never know, so stay tuned right here on the channel. Please continue to like, to comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That, of course, includes our expert picks, some of the best spread picks in the country. We're telling you Vandy's going to hit over 2.5. Maybe go sign up for those picks to see some more win totals. You never know, but go take a look. We want you to take a look. Become a part of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.